Welcome back, fellow animators. In this lesson, we'll tackle lip syncing and expressions. So don't worry if your character looked a bit expressionless before, cause that will all change now. Alright, to complete this lesson, we obviously need a voiceover. And seeing that I have such a God-given talent for voiceover, I have sacrificed myself. Ease out here and ease in there. I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame. Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. These are all the vowels and consonants you need to construct coherent dialogues when animating. I've also attached a map of all the different mouths in the lesson description, but it would be best if you could recreate them in your own style. Anyway, the rest is actually quite simple. First, you need to make sure that you have all the different mouths in their own respective shape layers, all named after their respective sounds. Now, make a copy of this comp and name it Lip Sync. Then, import the audio track . Place it in a folder called Audio. Drag the lip sync into the lip sync composition. And start marking out all the different sounds in a timely order. When you have marked out the whole track, you simply have to connect the correct mouth with the correct mark by duplicating the mouse from here, turn the eye back on again, and trim it like this. Done. Let's take a look. Ease out here and ease in there. I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame. Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. As you can see, the mouth is working, but it just looks a bit stiff. And that's because we have no frames animated in between. Also, fittingly enough, called in-betweeners.
And how do we create this in-between?
Simple. We'll just animate the paths of each mouth so it better connects with the mouth that precedes it. First, select all the mouth layers and drag the end of the layer one frame to the right. Now, select the first mouth. Snap out path frames in the middle of the layer. Then, set the indicator where the preceding mouth starts. Set the opacity of the proceeding mouth to 50%. Now, go back to the current mouth and start adjusting the paths so they match with the proceeding mouth. By the way, you don't have to match it perfectly, because this is more about directing the motion towards it rather than creating a perfect match. When you're done with the paths, then turn the opacity back up to 100% on the proceeding mouth and drag the end of the layer back to its original state on the current mouth. Done. Let's now repeat the same steps for all the mouths. Ease out here and ease in there. I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame. Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. Perfect. This now looks a lot smoother. Now, a couple of important things you need to know before we move on to the expressions. 1. I've eased all the path frames. 2. If the mouth lacks parts that are present in the proceeding mouth, then you need to animate the paths of the proceeding mouth instead. For instance, look at this O mouth. It lacks both bottom and top teeth, which means we need to animate the path in the beginning of this mouth instead. 3. Animating the paths are not a linear thing. You need to listen to the sound and start transitioning when it feels right. 4. Sounds are more important than the actual letters. For instance, in the word photography, the first O is closer to an E sound-wise. Photography. Now, this will become more clear once I switch out the E to an actual O. Photography. And here's the version with the E again. Photography. Much better. The face is one of the main focal points in your picture. So, when you change the expression, you change the direction and mood of the whole character. Furthermore, the way you transition between expressions is equally as important as the expressions themselves. So, to make things digestible, I've split this up in 3 parts, namely quick reactions, big reactions, and gradual reactions. This is perhaps the most common transition you'll see today. It's basically a quick anticipation leading into a slight overshoot before settling. The keyword here is quick, so let me show you how this works. First, we'll drag the lip sync composition into the head composition. Place it over the mouth, adjust the size a bit, parent it to the face null, and hide the old mouth for now. Then, locate that little aha moment in the voiceover when the character realizes that the course is just too easy. Ease in there. I might as well do ease in there.
Something extra, something special. I do so much for you guys.
Did you know that you can parent paths to other paths? Well, I didn't until an awesome student of this course pointed it out. Now, put a marker at the beginning of that little laugh and name it Start. Then go 2 frames to the right and set a marker called Anticipation. Go another 4 frames to the right and set a marker called Overshoot. And lastly, go 3 frames to the right and set a marker called Settle. Now, animate the position and scale of the head in the following way. Offset the Y position frames with 1 frame to the right. Then, animate the face null so it bounces up and down during the anticipation like this. And here's how it looks after making the expression bored in the beginning and excited at the end. These expressions are done by simply adjusting the eyelids and eyebrows. Yep, it's all in the eyes. And yes, you just have to animate the first expression from start to anticipation, aka the blink, and the final expression from anticipation to the overshoot. Now we just need to add some secondary motion to the hair and we are done. There. 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 The main difference between a big reaction and a quick reaction is that A, it's longer, B, we put more emphasis on the overshoot, otherwise known as an accent, and C, the settle period in the end is almost twice as long. Anyway, this type of transition is more commonly known as a take. I just named it big reaction because it fits my little theme here. By the way, this is one of the most old school ways of changing expressions, and a bunch of cartoons you grew up with probably use this method at some point or another. First thing we'll do is to go back to the lip sync composition and drag out the last mouth in the first sentence until the moment where the character gets shocked. Then, go back to the head composition and locate that same point where the character gets shocked. Now, here we'll switch the character's expression from excited to shocked. So, let's set a marker here called Start. Now, go 4 frames to the right and set a marker called Anticipation. Then go 3 more frames to the right and set a marker called Overshoot with accent in parenthesis, I cannot say that word.
Parenthesis.
And finally, go another 6 frames to the right and set a marker called Settle. Now, we'll animate the head and face null in the exact same way as we did in the quick reaction, but re-time to our new markers. Make the eyes blink on anticipation and open them fully between anticipation and overshoot. Now, let's exaggerate stuff a little bit more, so stretch the head a bit more here. Push the head down a bit further around here, and done. Now, to really bring this transition home, we wanna animate the mouth so it bites its teeth on anticipation and stretches out in a big surprised O on the overshoot. So, let's copy some mouths from the lip sync composition and get started. Match the stroke thickness of the mouth with the character. Make the O settle like this. Perfect. The first part of the blink is a bit slow now, and that's because the anticipation is a bit longer. So let's make it a bit quicker by copy-pasting this frame here to here. Done.
Bonus tip. Something extra, something special. I do so much for you guys.
The main focal point in the face is, without a doubt, the eyes. And seeing that the face is the main focal point of the character, it automatically gives the eyes tremendous power when acting. In fact, we can purvey a whole lot by merely changing the direction of the pupils. One thing I like to do a lot is to direct the pupils towards the viewer. This can have very different effects depending on the context, but it almost always gives the scene a bit of a comical relief as you take a step out of the story and connect more intimately with the audience. No, not in that way. More like a friend. By the way, I always tend to animate the direction of the pupils during a blink as it makes the movement more natural. Anyway, play around with the direction of the pupils as it can give some surprisingly good results. Let's also scale the pupils down a bit between anticipation and settle, as small pupils radiates a sense of terror in the character. Let's also settle the eyebrows a bit. Done. Now we just need to add some secondary motion to the hair. Much like we discussed in our jump animation, going from one point to another feels more natural if it's done in steps. Now, this is normally done in two different ways. One where you start changing the mouth first and then gradually go upwards, and one where you start the change from the eyebrows and gradually go downwards. In our case, we'll do the latter, so let's start off by animating the eyebrows from here to here. Yes, we are starting between the overshoot and settle of our previous transition, as this will make a transition more seamlessly into our new expression. Then go a couple of more frames into the timeline and animate the eyelids from here to here. Now, go to around here and start swapping out the mouths so he bites down on his own lip. And yes, we already have this type of mouth and it's called F and V. Done. By the way, biting the lip is a great way to enhance the stress in the character. It's also a great way to not have a totally static face, as we can move the teeth back and forth like this.
Something extra, something special. I do so much for you guys.
Here's how I animate sweat. First, I animate a shape layer drop that goes around the outline of the head like this. Yes, I animate the path from tiny to big and back to tiny. Then I animate a falling drop that goes from flat to this type of shape before forming a drop and falling towards the ground whilst simultaneously decreasing in size. Now, it's just a matter of duplicating, reflecting, and randomizing the drops until you got one sweaty character. Comedy is all about timing. especially in animation. One of my favorite things to do is to see how far I can hold on to an intense scene. Yes, just at the moment when you expect something big will happen, I do the exact opposite. This is frame by frame.
Let's see if there's any good courses on photography.
The only way to do this is frame by frame.
Let's see if there's any good courses on photography.
By the way, when animating blinks, try to keep the eyelids closed for around 2 frames whilst having the eyebrows moved up and down like this.
Ease out here and ease in there.
I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame.
Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. Ease out here and ease in there.
I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame.
Let's see if there's any good courses on photography.
Now, I won't lie. We are gonna hit that frame by frame cam quite a bit in this chapter. But don't worry. I got a couple of tricks up my sleeve that will make your animations go from good to masterful. By the way, don't let these frame by frame sessions discourage you. If you have little patience for this type of work, then just keep your characters more simple and less detailed. Just making your character flat as opposed to outlined can save you a couple of hours easily. I'm just showing you some of the more extreme cases so you know what to expect. Okay, first thing we'll do is to fix the details on the legs. So, hide everything else except the right leg, sock and shoe. Let's move the shoe layers just behind the leg limb. Now, set the indicator to where the shoe lifts from the ground. Then, import a pre-designed shoe with the right perspective. Yep, I mentioned this little trick in lesson number 7, and it really is the secret behind those sweet perspectives. Just wait until we start with our walk cycles. Then we need to make a bunch of this. As for the shoe itself, it's separated in 2 layers. One with the shoe, which should be placed on top of the leg, and one with the back of the shoe, which should be placed behind the leg. However, make sure that back shoe is parented to the shoe before you start moving stuff around.
Something extra, something special. I do so much for you guys.
Did you know that you can adjust multiple points from multiple paths together at the same time? Yep, just click drag over the points and voila! You can now move, rotate and scale them all together as one. Now, show the sock limb. Trim the original shoe layers. Parent the top shoe to the right shoe. Move it on top of the sock, but make sure that back shoe is still behind it. Trim the top shoe layers. By the way, I call it top shoe because you see the top of the shoe, but perhaps it makes more sense for you to call it something else. Okay, let's adjust the position and rotation. Let's put the regular shoe back into place for one frame by dragging the right shoe layers here, cutting them, adjusting the layer structure, and dragging the original layers back into place. Let's also trim the top shoe layers and move this back shoe back behind the sock where it belongs. Now, this shoe will act as a transition for our next perspective, which we'll add now. So let's go back into this shoe perspectives comp and copy these bottom shoe layers. Place them on top of the other shoes. Trim them. Fix the position. Whoops, it obviously needs to go over the leg itself, so drag the shoe over the leg and the back shoe behind the sock. Fix the position a bit. Parent it to the right shoe. Let's just adjust the position and rotation of this shoe, so snap some frames in the beginning of the layer. Then go to where the shoe touches the ground and make sure it doesn't cut through the shadow like so. Trim the layers and drag the original shoe back into play once more. Now, delete all these keyframes and parent this shoe to the original right shoe. Thus, we only need to move the original shoe when animating. Make sure it sits well on the shadow. Let's also make all the shoe layers except the original right shoe orange. Whoops, forgot to trim the shoes in the back, so let's just fix that. Now, if you recall our posing lesson, we talked a lot about placements and bends. Well, as you can see, the sock shouldn't be placed in the back here, so let's move it to the front. There's only one catch. We can't cut these limb layers, cause that will break the script and make them non-functional. Instead, we'll make a copy of the sock limb via the character tool panel. Name it right sock top. Place them between the bottom shoe and bottom leg layers. Trim them. Adjust the length of the sock. Boom. Time to fine-tune the timing. Now, if you ever wondered about why I added that little weird mask at the bottom of the legs, well, it's because that's the only way we can manipulate the bottom of that shape. And why do we want to do that? Well, as I showed you guys in the posing lesson, the way you bend stuff affects the perception of the depth, which means that this is actually a very important layer. Also a bit annoying as we have to fix everything frame by frame. That now looks awesome. Alright, time to fix the lower cuff of the pants. So, drag the layer just below the leg limb and start frame by framing that path. now we just need to tighten up the paths of the shoes. But before we do any of that, let me just preface this by saying that once we are in frame-by-frame cam, it can seem that keyframes sometimes appear out of nowhere. Well, they don't. It's just me copying frames from one place to another. So, if you're a bit unsure where some particular frames are coming from, then just look which keyframes I selected before pasting them. Perfect. Let's also squash the shoe on landing, so copy the frames from the shoe in the beginning to the shoe at the end. And adjust the timing and the order of the layers so it fits. Done. Now, whilst you just blinked, I went back in time and did the exact same thing as we did on the right leg to the left. And here's what it looks like now. Welcome back, fellow animators. In this lesson, we'll take a look on secondary motion and details. So make sure you got your coffee ready, cause this is gonna be a long one. Now, I'm sure you already have stumbled upon these two words before, but what do they actually mean? Well, the title more or less says it all. It's something that reacts to our main motion. Secondary motion is generally applied to anything soft, such as clothes, hair, and skin, and should never distract us from the main motion, but rather enhance it in a subtle way. In case of our character, we got a couple of soft things to play around with, so let's start adding some secondary motion to the hoodie. First thing we'll do is to select the body layer. Then go to this search field here and type in path. This will save us all that headache from clicking down to the path inside the layer itself. Now snap a frame at the anticipation mark. Then start adjusting the path of the hoodie so it connects better with the body. Okay, here it finally gets interesting. As our character is on his way down, we'll make the bottom of the hoodie catch some wind and act almost like a parachute, so start dragging out the bottom like this. Keep the bottom expanded all the way to the end of the jump. Now go to somewhere between jump end and recoil middle and make the bottom width normal again, whilst stretching it a bit lengthwise. Yep, the impact from the landing makes the hoodie move downwards. Let's add a little bounce to the bottom of the hoodie, so copy-paste the anticipation frame to somewhere between recoil middle and recoil end and start moving the bottom part up a bit whilst bending it the opposite way. To finish the bounce off, just copy the anticipation frame to just after recoil end. Perfect. Let's also adjust the path a bit here on landing. I think we need some ECEs. Yep, that's better. Let's now make sure the hoodie connects with the body throughout the whole jump, except for when it catches wind on the way down. Perfect. Okay, time to fix the back of the hoodie. So copy the body layer by hitting Command D on Mac or Control D on PC. Place it just above the left arm and name it Body Back. Change the fill to a slightly darker shade of its original color. Then start bending the bottom of the hoodie the opposite way on all the frames where the hoodie is expanded. And here's how it looks now. Not bad. Let's trim the layer to where the path itself is visible. Yep, I know. My way of trimming layers where I cut and delete is perhaps not the most optimal way of doing it. It's just that my previous Mac didn't have those necessary brackets on the keyboard which you need in the hotkey for trimming layers. So please don't mimic this behavior if you don't like it. Time to add a t-shirt, so duplicate the body layer once again, drag it below the original, name it t-shirt and set the fill to white. Then start adjusting the path so it covers the legs. Let's now take a look on what we got. Just a tad too much bounce at end, so let's just fix that. Perfect. Let's move on and fix the top of the hoodie. So, show the hoodie and inside hoodie layers. Then select the hoodie layer, put some position and rotation frames at the anticipation mark, and start fixing the position and rotation throughout the whole jump. Let's give it a little bounce, so push it down a bit at recoil middle. Then copy the anticipation frames to recoil end. Easy ease the frames. And voila! Okay, let's kick the secondary motion up one notch. So select both the hoodie and inside hoodie and put a path frame at the anticipation mark. Then push it up when the character moves downwards and push it down when the character moves upwards. Remember, it reacts to the main character, which means it's a couple of frames behind time-wise. Done. Let's just tighten up the timing and paths. Now we just need to fix the front of the hoodie, and the only way to do this is frame by frame. Now, when you're done with this course, you be a frame by frame master. No, but seriously, these extra details are absolutely worth it. Alright, let's fix the strings. We can go ahead and delete the second one, as we only need to animate one string and then duplicate it once it's done. Now, snap a rotation frame at the anticipation mark, then go to about 3 frames in and rotate it to -60 degrees. Make it 25 degrees around the mid-air mark. And -100 between mid-air and jump end. Perfect. Let's now add a little bounce at the end. So go to recoil middle and set the rotation to 12 degrees. Make it around -4 between recoil middle and recoil end. And finish it off by copy-pasting the first frame to somewhere here. Let's just ease the frames before we hit that preview. As you can see, the string reacts to the main movement from our character. However, it still feels stiff, so let's animate that path as well. But first, let's polish this graph. Now, hit a frame in shape 1 and hide shape 2, as we only need to animate one path and then duplicate the frames to the other once it's done. Let's give the path some bezier handles. Now, bend it downwards in the beginning. Then, go to somewhere just before the middle of the jump and bend it the other way. This will make the string swing around in reaction to the jump. Let's keep the same direction on the bend until he lands. Now, bend the string the other way just after he lands, as the landing itself is a sudden movement which causes a big reaction to all our soft parts. Copy-paste the first frame to here and here, then bend the middle one slightly to the right before it finally settles. Ease those frames. Perfect. Now, copy-paste the frames to shape 2 and make sure to turn the eye back on again. Then, duplicate the string itself and move the new instance to the right. Boom. Now we just need to adjust the position of these two strings throughout the whole jump. Now, offset the whole string too with one frame so it's less synchronized and a bit more natural. Done. Now we just need to add some secondary motion to the hair before we start adding details. So, show all the hair layers. Put a path frame at the anticipation mark and start adjusting the path so the hair swings up when the character goes down and down when the character goes up. Let's make it bounce down after impact. And make it settle at recoil end by copy-pasting the frames from anticipation. Now, easy is the frames and hit that preview. Not bad, but let's try offsetting them a bit at the end and see what that does. Perfect. Now, as you may have noticed, the hair doesn't go fully over the forehead as we would like it to. And the easiest way to fix this is to cut and move layers up and down. So, let's start off by showing all hair and ear layers. Then, select all the top hair layers. Go to the timing where they start disappearing behind the hair cover layer. cut them and move them on top of the other layers like so. And there, the top hair is now finally going over the forehead as it should. Let's now cut and move the top hair layers up and down so they are behind the hair cover when they are either normal or pushed upwards, and in front when pushed downwards. Awesome. But the paths are a bit all over the place, so let's hit that frame by frame cam once again. And there we go. Our secondary motions are now done. This is the lesson that everyone has been talking about. And I mean everyone. My mother, my grandmother, my... Yo, come here and look. Are these the only ones we have?
But what about that list you showed me? Oh, chess tournament? Oh, well.
Yeah, I'm not redoing the intro, so it has to stick. Yeah, I get it. Okay, well, whatever. Alright, fellow animator friends, we are back in our base character Illustrator file. First thing we'll do is to delete these two characters here, because we don't need them. Then make a copy of the character and put it to the side, just in case we need to pick apart here or there later. Now, ungroup the character. Select all the strokes. Then go to Object, Path and choose Outline Strokes. And there. Now these strokes are all fills, and that is just what we want. Okay, time to give the character some skin and outlines. To do that, double click on the fill box and select some skin tone, and apparently I'm a bit orange and beige today, and set the stroke color to black. Then go to the stroke panel and set the stroke thickness to around 0.6. And make sure the round cap and round joint options are selected. And there you go. You got your very first naked character. Ooh-wee, so exciting. But wait, what if we add a bit more details to it? On one hand, if we end here, I can finally practice my golf swing. But on the other hand, I think they want to know how to add facial details, clothes, I don't know, all that stuff. Ooh, yeah, no, it's a tough one. I don't know, but let's do it anyways. So, let's start off by adding some eyes. So make a copy of the head, scale it down a bit. Those strokes are now scaling with the object. That means we need to redo it, but this time we'll turn off the Scale, Strokes and Effects box, and that will fix the issue. Alright, we are back on track. Let's now make the eye white. Then copy it and place it close to the other one, like so. Done. Now it's time to give the character a nose, so choose the pen tool and then start drawing a D-shaped nose like so. Then copy the head color and then place it in between the eyes and move this eye to the front There we go. Now, let's just give that nose a slightly different tone. And why do we want to do that? Well, we want to draw the viewer's attention towards the eyes. And let's just keep on adjusting this path. As you can see, some of these points are missing bezier handles. And to fix that, we need to select the anchor point tool and drag those handles out like so. Now it's time for the pupils, so drag a copy from one of the eyes and scale it down a bit. Then switch the color from white to black, and we can turn off the stroke color in this case. Then just drag a copy to the other eye. And realign them so he's looking straight towards us. Okay, let's draw some eyebrows. So, select the pen tool and then start drawing a curved line above one of the eyes like so. And then keep on adjusting it until it looks good. Okay, I think this looks good now, so let's just drag a copy to the other side and adjust them a bit. Perfect. As for the mouth, we just need to drag a copy from the eyebrow, rotated 180 degrees. Pro tip, use guides when you want to be sure your design is aligned correctly. Just go to View, Rulers, Show Rulers. Now drag a guideline down like so, and here we can adjust the path according to the guideline. Easy and effective. When you're done, go to View, Guides and Clear Guides. Now I will show you how to draw the world's easiest ear. It's in fact so easy that I'm drawing it blindfolded with both hands tied behind my back, riding a unibike, fighting ninjas, throwing knives with my feet, surfboarding orcas, space traveling, time, God knows what. That's how much I love ears, okay? And I'm gonna make you so good at drawing them. It's so powerful. I cannot contain myself. First, drag a copy of the head. Then scale it down to around this size. Then select the pen tool and put a point here and delete it. Done. Now we just need to draw those two lines inside of there, so select the pen tool again and draw a line from here to here, and then another line from here to the middle of this line, and we are done. I bet you have noticed by now that designing is hardly a linear and straightforward process. It's all about readjusting and reconfiguring up until that last stroke is drawn. Okay, can somebody tell me who's the sound guy on this? It's me? Oh, that's weird. That's pretty weird. Okay, time to draw some hair. Here we need to think in 3 parts, 1 front, 1 back and 1 cover-up part. So first select the pen tool, then double click on the fill box, set a nice hair color. Now we'll start drawing from the ear downwards a bit, giving the character a nice little sideburn. Then go upwards towards the forehead. I got one of these little Dracula things here, so I'll draw that. Then go back and close the shape together. Okay, let me show you a little neat trick that I hope you'll find useful. First, create a copy of the head by holding down Shift plus Alt and hitting the right arrow key one time. And why are we using arrow keys as opposed to dragging it like we normally do? Well, then we just need to hold down Shift and hit the left arrow key one time, and our new copy will align perfectly with the old one. Now, select both the hair and the new head copy, then go to the Pathfinder panel and hit this option, Done. Your hair is now perfectly cut to the head. And let's just move that ear in front of the hair and adjust some stuff here. Done. Now it's time to fix the back hair, and here we are a lot less restrained by the facial features, and that means we can be a lot more creative. So select the pen tool again and then start drawing the side like so. Go upwards and create this sort of paintbrush style. FYI, I don't personally have this type of hairstyle. Mine is a lot more sort of sophisticated. Think like James Bond mixed with us. Hey mom, are you found it? Or is it that hairspray? The one that will increase the size of my paintbrush to twice the size? 3 times the size? Okay, yeah, let's talk more later. Yeah, I need to get back to work too. Kisses. Let's create a more distinct separation between the side hair and top hair by selecting the anchor point tool and split that bezier handle in 2 like so. Send it to the back. Done. Let's also adjust the shape a bit more. And then we'll make 2 copies of this shape and place them each behind the other. And select the pen tool and draw the other side of the hair. Place it behind the other ones like so. And let's just adjust them so they fit a bit better. Let's remove these points because we're not going to use them. And do the same thing for this shape. Alright, time to move on to the cover-up part. And this will merge both the front and the back hair together. So select the pen tool again, turn off the stroke, and then start drawing over that annoying line like so. Perfect. Now we just need to move that ear back in front and we are done. Now it's just a matter of adjusting the shapes until you run out of patience. So here I'll keep quiet and make myself a coffee whilst we throw this video into speed mode. I hope you enjoy, it's pretty high-tech stuff. See you soon. Oopsie, wrong track. And we are done.
Something extra, something special. I do so much for you guys.
If you want to create the famous Lisa Simpson hairstyle, then simply draw a circle behind the head, go to Effect, Distort and Transform, and select Zigzag. Now we just need to set the edges to smooth and play around with the sliders. Easy.
Something extra, something special. I do so much for you guys.
The easiest way to create girly hair is to draw a rectangle shape and place it behind the head like so. Then choose the direct selection tool and select the top points. Then simply drag these two curve handles inwards and boom, you are done. Or perhaps not. Let's just remove the sideburn and fix that top hair a bit. Alright, let's move along to the shirt. So start off by creating a new layer. And lock the old one. The reason we're doing this is so the pen tool doesn't snap to our pre-existing shapes once we start drawing the shirt. Now, we can start drawing the shirt, but first we'll need to give it some funky color. I'm gonna go with this blue one. Then select the pen tool and make sure we got the top layer selected like so. Okay, so the trick to drawing a nice shirt is to start off with this pear-like shape. Then we just need to adjust the path a little bit here. And align the top right shoulder with the arm. And keep on refining the path until it's more straight in the back and curved at the front. Let's also make it a tiny bit wider. Perfect. When you're happy with the shape, simply cut it out by hitting Command X on Mac or Control X on PC. And then trash that layer, turn off the lock on the bottom one. Now we just need to double click on one of the body shapes and paste that shirt inside there by hitting Command V on Mac or Control V on PC. Let's readjust the position a bit and delete these two body shapes as we don't need them anymore. Now, you might wonder what's even the point of these two shapes to begin with. Well, you just need to wait until our next lesson on character posing to find out. Now that we got the shirt in place, let's fix the shirt arm. And seeing that both arms are more or less identical, we just need to fix one of them, which means we don't really need this one right now, so you can just go ahead and delete it. Then readjust the arm so it matches better with the shoulder. And once we're happy with that, we just need to make a copy of it by once again holding down Shift plus Alt and hitting the right arrow key. And delete the bottom points like so. Then we'll simply move that bottom part up to around here. Copy the color of the shirt. Yep, the arm is a bit too thick, so let's scale it down a bit. Now, to close this path, go to the Pathfinder and hit this option. Then we just need to cover this part up here so the arm merges into the shirt. So, select the pen tool, turn off outlines, then draw a shape over the part we want to cover. Readjust the shapes a bit. Perfect. Let's group the arm and see how it works on the other side. Not bad. One thing that is worth mentioning about the back arm is that it will never be this far out. In fact, it will connect more behind the chest area once we start either posing or animating our character. This means we can delete it again and shift our focus back to the top arm. And let's just adjust the chest a bit more. Now, we just need to connect the shirt and head together with a neck. So, make a copy of the head and scale it down a bit. Place it around here. Then, select the shirt and neck together and make a copy of them by holding down Shift plus Alt and hitting the right arrow key one time. Then go to the Pathfinder panel and hit this option. Now we just need to delete the old shapes by selecting it with the direct selection tool and hitting delete. Yep, that's the best way to select a shape inside a group. Then simply move the neck shape back in place. Perfect. Okay, we just need one more shape to tie the shirt and head together. So select the pen tool again, then draw this type of shape. To break up the bottom part, put a point here and hit delete. Then we just need to move the head in front of the neck. Okay, so I see that the head is still grouped together with that bottom part of the neck. And we don't want that, so first ungroup the head, then select only the head shapes, group them back together again, and move it back to the front. Then it's just a matter of adjusting the shapes until they look as good as you want them to.
Something extra, something special. I do so much for you guys.
Here's a simple way to create that Homer Simpson-like shirt collar. First, select the pen tool. Then draw a shape in front of the neck like so. Copy the collar and outlines from the shirt. And keep on adjusting it until it looks something like this. Now, shape the neck like a V by breaking that middle bestiar point with the anchor point tool like so. And yep, I'm using the hotkey for the anchor point tool, which is Shift plus C. Okay, I think this looks good for now, so let's move ahead and draw the back of the collar like so. Match the collars to the shirt and move it to the back. Then spend a couple of minutes to really tighten up that design. And remember to use the guidelines as they will help you align stuff more evenly. To connect the back collar with the neck, simply draw a line from here to around here. Then keep on adjusting it until it fits perfectly. Last thing we need to do is connect the front collar with the neck. So draw a shape like this. Put it here and move the front collar to the front. Then simply keep on tightening up the design until you're happy with it. Remember, always make a lot of copies in case you need some part in the future. Last thing we'll cover in regards to the shirt is how to make a hoodie. So let's just go ahead and delete this collar. And then move the head and neck away from the body a bit. We actually don't need this part, so delete that. Then select the ellipse tool and draw a circle around this size. Copy the shirt collar and place it behind the body. Now, hoodies are normally flat on the top, so select the top point and move it down a bit like so. Readjust it a bit. Let's see how it works with the head. Yep, that looks fine. Now, let's draw the inside. So select the pen tool and start drawing from here to here. Give it a little V shape here. Curve it a bit there and connect it. Then keep on adjusting the path until it's nice and tidy. Now, we just need to move this back with the hoodie itself. And seeing that it's the inside of the hoodie, it needs to be a little bit darker. Let's just tighten this up some more. Now we just need to merge the neck with the hoodie, so put both the neck and the head back into position. Then start covering it up with two strokeless shapes, one from each side. And once again, keep on perfecting those paths until they feel good. Okay, I think that looks good, so let's add two strokes, one on each side of the neck. And we got a hoodie. Let's also add some classic strings. So first draw a rectangle like so. Make it white. Then drag in those curve handles so it's nice and round in the corners. Make a copy of it. Flatten it by hitting this option in the Pathfinder panel. Then scale it down to around this size. Group them. Copy it and boom, we got some strings. Let's group them together and make them a tiny bit shorter. Done. Now we just need to fix the arm, so delete that old shirt arm and color the whole arm like so. Make it a bit shorter. Move the bottom points up a bit. Tighten up the shoulder. Then we just need to select the ellipse tool. Draw a cuff like so. Make it white. And move it to the back. It's as easy as that. Now we just need to tighten everything up until we move on to the legs. But first, let's see how it works with both arms, so drag a copy from this arm, move it to the back, and that looks good. Okay, time to fix the legs. And yes, we only need to do one and then copy paste it when it's done. First copy the color of the hoodie. Then move it up a bit to around here. Flatten out that bottom part. Then make a copy of the leg. Scale it down. Shorten it, rotate it. Copy the cuff color. Move it to the back, and there, that's our character's sock. Now, we just need to connect the leg and sock by drawing this little elastic thing that all jogger pants have in the bottom. Move it back with the sock. Copy the sock collar. And round off those edges a bit. Perfect. Now, let's tighten up that design, so into speed mode we go. Last thing we'll need to do is to group the leg together and move it to the other side. And there, we got 2 legs.
Something extra, something special. I do so much for you guys.
Most legs don't go straight up into the stomach. So how do we fix it? Easy. First group the legs together, double click on them. Then cover this part up like so. Turn off the strokes. And last but not least, draw a little stroke here. Move it there. Done. let's just tweak some stuff before we move on to the hands. Alright, let's be a bit practical again and give our character some hands. So, flatten out this bottom part like so. Put a point here and adjust it. This is basically the little gap we have between the fingers and the thumb. Then, select the pen tool, turn off fills, give the stroke some other color than black, make it 16 points. Then simply draw 3 points like so, and there you go, the first finger is done. Now we just need to make 2 copies and alter the colors a bit so we can distinguish between them. Repeat the same process for the thumb, but make it slightly thicker. And there you go. This is our base hand, which we'll use both in our future animation rigs and when we want to draw different types of hands, which I'll show you a bit later. And yes, it's more than okay to make 4-finger hands in cartoons. It's actually quite preferable, seeing that we have one less finger to move around. And it also looks cool. Alright, let's finish this bad boy off so it actually looks like a hand, but first we need to make a copy of it for our future animation rig. Now, this is really simple. Just select the fingers like so, then go to Object, Path and select Outline Stroke. Then, just copy the color of the hand and boom. Now we just need to cover up those excessive outlines with simple fills and keep on adjusting it until it looks good. Let's now take a look on how easy it is to create different hand poses from our little hand setup here. In this case, I'm gonna create a peace hand, and by now you guys know all the tools, so I'm putting it back into speed mode. Okay, time to give our fella some nice sneakers. So make the shape a bit shorter. Copy it. Then select the bottom points of the bottom shape and round them off like so. Make it white, and there. The sneaker sole is now done. Now, for the shoe itself we need some more points, so select the pen tool and put 2 more points around here like so. Drag them up to around here, then drag out the bezier handles on all the points with the anchor point tool, then start rounding off the shape. Let's put a copy of the sock here for reference. Now, bend the shoe around the sock like this. Drag the back out a bit so we have enough space for that back tab, which we'll create from a simple rectangle like this. Then drag a copy of the tab to here and place it in between the sock and shoe like so, and there we got a tongue. Let's now put one more point here and flatten out the part of the shoe that meets with the tongue, and let's start tightening things up. Now, for the laces we just need to draw a shape like so. Make it white. Then cut out the excess stuff by duplicating the laces and the shoe together and hitting this option in the Pathfinder panel. Let's give the shoe a bit more shape here. and readjust the laces a bit. Let's add a little nice curve here at the heel. Perfect. The Align panel, sorry, tongue twister for me, isn't only good for aligning shapes. It also works well on aligning points, like this. The last thing we'll do is to add a little stroke here at the laces. This will make it look like there's two laces instead of one, which is just what we want. And now, let's go back to tightening stuff up even more. we'll take a look at the hardest part of character design, and that is how to create a shadow. And this is so hard that you need to be laser focused. Do you have to try to select that pen tool? Is so hard. You did it. And now try with everything you have to draw a line like this. Oh, wow! Wow! And for the 5% that are still with us, now we need to place it underneath the character. So, woohoo! I did it! I cannot believe I did it!
My child, we always knew you could do it. We always knew you could create the most magnificent shadow there was. We are so proud of you. Just remember that, my child. Just remember that. Bye.
We just have to do one more thing and we are done. So, what we want to do now is to merge this head a bit more into the neck. And the easiest way to do just that is to draw a shape over that outline like this and take away the stroke. There, we are done. Now, head on over to your local fireworks shop and buy the biggest fireworks they have. Light it up in a safe place.
Called it in. They just trying a number. They said the line was busy. They said they received the call to open phone line.